Hey everyone, we are going to graph linear equations today by using a table. Now, again, linear means line. And how do I know all these equations are going to be graphs of lines? Because their exponents are all understood to be ones. That's how I know I'm graphing lines. When we graph a line in math, we have slanted lines, which are called oblique lines. We have horizontal lines, remember horizon, or we have vertical lines. Those are lines in math. Now, when your equation has an x and y in it, so if you look at the three I'm doing today, they all have an x and y in them, so they should all be graphs of oblique lines. So let's get started. When you graph using a table, in reality, you only need 2 points to draw a line. But I do 3 points in case we make a mistake. That'll alert us to go back and check the other numbers. So I'm going to start by making my table x, y. It says y equals x minus 5. So when I do this, I want to put numbers in for x and find y. I think that would be the easiest way to do this. So we're going to put in some numbers for x. And I like to use little numbers whenever possible because little numbers are easier to graph on a graph. Now, if it was x minus 15, then I might not use 0, -1, and 1. I might use a little bigger numbers. But look at your graph and determine, are your points going to fit on that graph? That's how I think about it when I'm deciding what points to use for x or y. So we put in numbers for x. And we're going to take those numbers over to the equation and now put them in. So I got y equals 0 minus 5, which is -5. -5. Next, I got to put -1 in for x. So I've got y equals -1 minus 5, which is -6. And then my last one, I'm going to put 1 in for x. So when I do that, I get y equals 1 minus 5, which is -4. Now, when I graph these 3 points, they should all lie on a line. 0, -5, right away, ding, ding, ding. If x is 0, that's your y-intercept. So go down to -5 and put a dot. That's 0, -5. I'll put a little green spot there so we know that's the one we graphed. Now, let's go to -1, -6. So I'm going to go from 0. I go left 1, and I got to go down 6. That puts me right there. That's 0, -1, -6. And finally, we got to graph 1, -4. So I'm going to go right 1 and down 4. As you can see, those 3 dots, when we connect them, they are going to make a line. Ooh. And what kind of line is that? It's an oblique line. How do we know that it's a positive slope? Because when you trace it left to right, it goes up. All right, and when you look at this equation, it's y equals mx plus b. There's a 1 there. The slope is positive, so we better get a line that's going up. All right, so think about what I did. I picked 3 points for x. It doesn't matter which numbers you use. All right. I put them in the equation and I found the y values, and then I graphed the y values. That's all there is to this. Let's take a look at the next one. All right. My next equation is x equals. Since it's x equals, I think I'm going to put values in for y instead of x. So here is my chart, my table. And it's x equals, so I'm going to put numbers in for y. So I'm going to use 0, -1, and 1 again. So I'm going to come over here, and where I see y, I'm going to put those numbers in. So x equals 2 times y, so 2 times 0 minus 2, which is 0 minus 2, which is -2. Now I'm going to put -1 in for y. So I have x equals 2 times -1 minus 2. Well, 2 times -1 is -2. Minus 2 is -4. And then I'm going to put 1 in for y. So when I do that, I get x equals 2 times 1 minus 2. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 2 is 0. There we go. Now I want you to think about this. I chose to put numbers in for y this time because I thought it was easier. Could you go back and put numbers in for x? You sure can. I think it's going to be more difficult. But put the numbers in for the variable that you think will be easier for you to find the value of the other variable. It doesn't matter if you put numbers in for x or if you put numbers in for y. And again, try to find numbers that will fit nicely on your graph. So let's go. Let's graph our equation here. So our first point is -2, 0. So I'm going to go left 2 and I'm going to go up nothing. And we know that's the x-intercept because y is 0, right? We remember that? All right, let's do our next one. -4. So I'm going to go left 4 and down 1 right there. And we got -4 and -1. And our last point, which is our what? It's 0, 1. X is 0. So that's our y-intercept. It's right here, 0, 1. Now, when we connect those dots, we're going to have an oblique line. Boom, it goes right through them. What do you think? Are we getting it? I need you to understand it doesn't matter if you start by putting numbers in for x or y. It doesn't make a difference. Do what's easier for you. So I did the first one by putting numbers in for x. I did the second one by putting numbers in for y. Now I picked a little different equation for our third one. So let's take a look at what I'm going to do here. So let's erase some of this again. I want to get rid of that line on the graph. There we go. Let's clean this up so it doesn't look too cluttered. Remember, you can always stop the video and take notes wherever you need to. So, got to do a check-in. How is everybody doing? If you're confused on what we've done so far, just leave me a message. Say, hey, I need you to do more problems, Betsy, and I'll get right on it for you. I do plan on doing 1-minute videos once I get everything set up. So once I've got all my concepts in here, which will take a while, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do a whole bunch of 1-minute videos on each one of these. So that's coming too. And I'm working on Betsy's shirts right now and on some worksheets. I've got a lot going on for you guys to try to help you out. So I'm just really grateful that you are taking the time to watch and you're interested in learning. That's so awesome. So let's take a look at our last equation now. What do you notice different about this one? We notice that the slope has a fraction in it. So how are we going to deal with that? Watch what I'm going to do. So when I look at that, I'm going to come over here and write a little bit. If I take -3/4 and times it by 0, it's going to be gone. That's a good thing. How can I get rid of that fraction? Well, it's a -3/4. So if I multiply by 4, remember it's 4 over 1, these will be gone. And I'll get -3. And if I multiply by a -4, again, putting it over 1, these will be gone. A negative times a negative is a positive, so we'll get +3. So what I'm telling you is I look at the denominator, if it's a fraction, and I use that to multiply by because it eliminates the fractions and I'm not guessing where the points actually are. So for my x, I'm going to use 0, -4, and 4. So as you just saw, when we put 0 in, I'm going to do it again just to make sure you see it. When I put 0 in, I get 0 equals -3/4 times 0, because it's times x here, plus 3. Well, -3/4 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. Right there, 3. What do you think? Now, when we put -4 in for x, so it's times -4. Remember, when I got a fraction, I like to make the other one a fraction. Well, what happens there? As I showed you on the side there, these 4s are going to cancel. And you got -3 times -1, which is 3, plus 3 is 6. So you get 6. Remember, I only showed you the multiplying here. I didn't show you the whole problem, just showing you why I multiplied here. Now, when we put +4 in here, we get -3/4 times a +4. Put it over 1 since the other part's a fraction, plus 3. These cancel to 1s. -3 times 1 is -3. Now we got to add 3, and we get 0. All right? So over here, I'm just showing you multiplying fractions, how to get rid of the fraction. So let's go on here and graph these 3 points. But take a breath for a second. Just sit back and look at this and make sure you understand what I'm doing. So when the slope is a fraction, I take and multiply. If it's the fraction times x, which it would be if it was a slope, I multiply by the denominator. So I use x as a positive and negative of that denominator. All right. So here, let's go ahead and graph the 3 points. 0, 3, right here. Oops, I got to use a different color there. We don't want to put white on white. And how do we know that that's the y-intercept? Well, if it's the y-intercept, x is 0. So we've got the y-intercept here. So that's 0, 3. The next one we got to graph is -4, 6. So I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go left 4, and I'm going to go up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's right there. -4, 6. And then lastly, what do we have there? We got 4, 0. So what does that represent? That's our x-intercept. If y is 0, that 4, that's our x-intercept right there. And you can see they're making a nice, beautiful oblique line. So when we connect our dots, look at our beautiful line. Boom. Put my arrows on the end because the line goes on forever. Now, what do you think? We did 3 different problems. In the first problem, I put the values in for x and we found y. In the second problem, I put the values in for y and we found x. And in the third problem, I showed you how to eliminate the slope as a fraction by using x values that are the same as the denominator, one positive, one negative. I hope this helps. I hope you have an awesome day, and I would appreciate if you subscribe. Thank you.